Welcome to The Gifted Ones, and I'm your host, Liz Throp, and today we have a very special soul with us, Vanessa Hurst. Vanessa hails out of Port Colborne, Ontario, and is a psychic, a very gifted psychic medium, I should say, internationally known and very, very well respected in the area with her abilities. Now, not only that, Vanessa is somebody who is a paranormal investigator. She has spent a lot of time doing that and has actually been on some of the really neat TV shows like Paranormal Survivor. Vanessa also has trained in many, many different things. I have a list here. You have basically you have trained with the Aquarius Society of Vancouver, East Hamilton Spiritual Church, Mohawk, Ojibwe, Toltec, Aurum Solace, and Templar Knights. And if that wasn't enough, you are also a very well-respected artist and a huge Beatles fan, I have to add.
True.
So without further ado, welcome, Vanessa. Thank you so much for coming and joining us today and sharing your wisdom.
Thank you for the invitation.
Well, it's really, I'm so excited to connect with you because, you know, let's focus first on your abilities as a psychic medium. What was it that you know you can think back on that was the catalyst to let you know that you actually were gifted?
Oh, wow. That's a loaded question.
Right?
Well, I can remember far back as 2 years old and this little orb coming down with a big man's face in it. Like It was just a face. And
right.
I can remember it saying to me, you know, why don't you want to talk to me? I'm not going to hurt you. I just want to play. I couldn't speak at that age. Well, not, you know.
Fluently,
yes.
Right.
But I sure as heck could scream and cry. And that's what I remember is just screaming and crying and standing in my crib going, you know, what is this?
Yeah.
And to me, my brain kind of made it into a Humpty Dumpty. So, you know, that was done for the rest of my life. No Humpty Dumptys in my house.
Right, I can imagine.
So, you know, it went on for a few years. At about 7 years old, I decided that I shouldn't sleep anymore because I get bothered all night long. So I tried to do my best to train myself not to sleep at night. But I mean, you know, there was always that time where I'd end up falling, probably about 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. I would just be done and end up sleeping all day through class. And but when I discovered and realized was when I finally found my real family. And that was at 16 years old. And I called the directory at Bell Canada for, I had a whim that my family would be out in British Columbia. And so I called the directory and asked the operator, well, give me Ralph Hurst.
Wow.
And she's like, well, we have a 97 directories or something. And I'm like, well, what's the biggest city out there? Because I had no idea. I was 16.
Yeah.
And I never paid attention in school. So I was sleeping.
Did any of us?
So she gave me, the first person she gave me was my uncle.
Wow.
And I got his answering machine, and there was this very deep British voice on the other end. And I'm like kind of sheepish saying, if you know, my dad's name was Jeff Hurst, and da-da-da. Immediately the phone picked up and it was like, hello. And
Wow.
And I explained my dreams, my out-of-body experiences, because I pretty much grew up Mennonite in my foster home.
Okay.
Like I didn't have the dresses, but it was, you know, very Christian-based. And you don't drink, you don't date, even try to date until you were 16. I kind of blew that all out of the water. Great home though.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when I found him, he immediately said, yes, you're one of us.
Wow.
And that's when I knew, okay, this is what I'm meant to do. And my grandmother immediately mailed me my first pack of tarot cards.
Oh, wow.
And unfortunately, there was no internet at that time. So the only training I could get was through phone when I could actually get my uncle on the phone, because he would do like anywhere from 10 to God knows how many readings a day.
Wow.
So it was very difficult to even get him on the phone.
So amazing that he actually picked up and answered at the time
Very
when
amazing.
you made the original phone call.
Extremely amazing.
Well, we know that's divine intervention there,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
That's so cool. So you now have this deck of tarot cards and you're learning the craft, and it was around your 20s that you started to travel. Is that right?
Well, it was about 1992, well, early 20s, when the tarot cards got me into a little bit of trouble.
Right.
I was living in a home in Hamilton, and it was a townhouse. Normal, you'd never think anything of it.
Right.
And my uncle forgot to explain to me, maybe you should seal yourself off and shut yourself down after each
Protection
reading.
and grounding.
And I just kept letting everything through and not
I
shutting
did the
things
same
down.
thing. I did the same thing because I
And
didn't
then
know.
I learned how to clear houses.
Oh, jeez.
Because my house was so infested with everything, poltergeist, that we had intelligent spirits, we had non-organic spirits, you name it. It was
Wow.
just a festering mess.
Wow.
And I did have an Anglican priest come in, and he was stuttering the whole way. It was just like what you would see on the movies.
Right, yeah.
And that kind of spooked me a bit.
Of course it did.
Oh my goodness, did I do all this? And then I went and I had an Ojibwe pipe carrier come in. And that's where the lessons for the Ojibwe side of things came in. And it was
Wow.
mostly clearing houses.
So, one of the cool things that you have done with your life in this world is you do investigations for people in their properties. So whether it's their home or their business, if they're having things that are manifesting in front of them, like spirit or things that go bump in the night. And that can be freaky for somebody who doesn't know quite how to handle it. I mean, it's something that I know from your Facebook page. You often post your episodes that go on in your house, and I always think, I can't film it. I'm too tired to, when I wake up, when they're shutting doors and walking down, I can't be bothered, but you actually film it. And so anybody wanting to see that could go to your Facebook page and see that. But you actually go in and you support people who don't know how to handle stuff like that, clear their homes and tell them who it is that's there. Can you explain that?
Oh, yes, I do that. And it's the best part of my job, really.
Right? Yeah.
I love everything going bump in the night, and I mean everything.
Right.
So, number one rule of thumb, however, is 98.5% of the houses out there are more haunted by the humans that live in them than the actual house themselves.
That's right. Yeah.
And more so, it's, I run into just a conglomerate of negative energies. Like, say if somebody just bought a house and they never cleared it out, there's going to be residuals from whomever that lived there. So over time, it kind of layers and layers. And it will, A, attract things in. B, it will just create what we call a tulpa. It will just become its own thing, its own entity, this energy. So in that sense, it's just an easy clearing. Very rarely will you find a poltergeist.
Right.
Very rarely.
I mean, I've been doing this.
I'm looking, if anybody knows for one.
Yeah. You'd be the one to jump in. I wouldn't be afraid of something like that. I've been doing this for 30 years, and I have yet to meet something evil. I've met really bad, tricky, nasty, that you can tell, like you would another human that could be. I don't believe that even humans are evil. I believe we do evil acts.
Yes.
Right. So
we grow into evil.
Yes, exactly.
Yes,
so
yes.
Where that is concerned, I mean, I'm grateful that I've never done it, but I would not be afraid of it. Let's put it that way. But that's not a a message to the universe. I'd like to deal with that. But
thoughts are things. Yes, yes.
But you have dealt with some really cool clearings. So why don't you share something that's...
Ooh, well, the Welland House is always one my
Love
go-to.
the Welland House. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
What's it called now? It's not the Welland House
No,
anymore.
no. This was just a normal
Oh,
residents.
a house. I'm thinking the actual
in Welland,
Do you remember
Ontario.
the Welland House in downtown St. Catharines? That
yes.
place had some
Yes,
neat,
I
think
do.
it's a place for Brock students now or something. I'm not sure. I don't know.
Funny.
Anyways,
okay.
yeah.
So one of the scariest places would have been just a private residence in Welland, Ontario, and
Okay.
it's still there. And they had all these mannequins around the house.
That's a little creepy. Just saying.
But there was one in particular that was a child mannequin, and it was in the upstairs apartment.
Okay.
And it was because they used it as storage. That thing just wasn't right. Something was wrong with that mannequin. I have mannequins all over my house, so I can't say much, but that was not right. It is on my site, by the way. I did load that up. And later on, when we did the EVP sessions, you could hear this grumbly man kind of saying, "It's another priest." I was there to clear the house. Initially, I was just going to do an interview on the house, but then they said, "Okay, can you clear it?" And when we got home from doing all the investigation and started going through the EVPs, we were starting to hear that. And then we had one camera that just loosened by itself and went flip to the ceiling.
Yeah.
So, we'd have to go in there and flip it all. And whatever it was did not want me to clear it. So much so that even the people that own the home at the end of it all said, no, we don't want a clearing.
Really?
And that happens. That happens
Because
a lot.
they're attached to the energy.
Yes.
They are attached to the
and not
energy.
so much that is the actual negative spirits in there convince them, whether it be through sleeping, what have you, or give them bad feelings.
Yeah.
And because they don't want to leave the house.
That's right.
I mean, there's been times where they'll stand behind, you got to turn off fans, furnaces, everything, because they'll stand behind a fan.
Wow.
So they don't get smudge smoke on them.
Wow.
So they're, it's just like,
So
it's
explain
us
that.
without skin, right?
Right, exactly. Explain what smudging is to somebody who
clearing,
doesn't know.
smudging. Well, there's the traditional native smudging, right? With the sweet, not the sweetgrass, the sage, and sweetgrass is like an offering to them, so you can put that in there. But the sage is what clears the negativity out of the air. Mm-hmm. However, I don't use just sage and sweetgrass. I have combined, like my kit is about like this, and it stretches out this far. Many modalities, because if you think about it, if you're going into a house with more than one spirit, do you think that they're all going to be native and believe in that smoke?
Right.
No, it's not going to happen, right? So I have sea salt, I have holy water, I have
the same thing.
absolutely brick dust, like you
What's
name
the
it.
brick dust for? I've never heard of
Though that can be used more when it comes to paganism, Wiccan, voodoo, hoodoo, those kinds of things for protection. It's just kind of like the sea salt as well.
Okay.
Same like as the black salt.
Okay.
It's the same kind of deal.
Yeah, I'd never heard of that.
But depending on who you're dealing with,
yeah, right enough.
I even have the crucifix. I even have the small Bible in there.
Wow.
You just never know what's going to be there when you get there.
Wow. I am so grateful that you were able to come today and share a little bit of your story. If somebody wants to get in touch with you, how would they go about doing that, Vanessa?
Well, like I said, there's many places you can get in touch with me in Facebook, YouTube at Metaphysical Moments. I work out of Welland, out of Island Heat Tanning. That's twice a month. You can catch me there.
Right.
And then you can find me. I'm all over
Google
Niagara.
her.
Yeah, Google
her.
me. Everybody can find me.
Exactly. Well, it's been such a pleasure. Thank you so much.
You are very welcome. It's been great to be here.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.